Hi, everybody. Chris Justice here with you alongside Grace Lyles. We're watching some storms moving on through. A new tornado warning has just been issued for parts of Graham and Swain County in North Carolina as we're watching this cell move on through. This is another tornadic part of this line that is rolling through parts of the mountains that we're watching right now, just north of Hayesville, Rosman, Franklin right here. This is rotating in this area. This tornado warning does include Swain and Graham counties and goes until 8:15. We're watching this right now as it continues to show signs of giving us some rotation. This cell right here is really packing a punch. Thousands of lightning strikes here in just the past 15 to 30 minutes here north of Robbinsville. Very electrical part, and this is still back through Tennessee, but crossing over the Tennessee line into North Carolina right here as we're watching it near Robbinsville, near Highway 28 and Highway 129 as it rolls on through these areas. As this continues to be a concern, we're watching this whole line. There are severe thunderstorm warnings for the upstate, but no tornado warnings right now. Most of us are going to hear that thunder or see that rain as it moves on through, but this is the most concerning part of it right now. Where we are is west of Asheville, near Yellow Creek right here, near Swain County, and this line has had a history of producing some rotation and some strong winds in it. Let's zoom out a little bit and show you some perspective here as our Doppler gives us a fresh look every 60 seconds at where this location is. And what we're looking at here, just from perspective here, is there's Bryson City west of there. If anybody's in Bryson City, should be really taking that seriously with a lot of lighting. West through Robbinsville, Valleytown, as this rolls on down toward the south. What a day to be in the mountains. It is rocking and rolling. We got thunder and lightning and heavy rain pushing on through these areas of western North Carolina. 500 lightning strikes just in this part of Swain and parts of Graham County right now as this pushes south toward parts of the mountains. Now let's zoom out completely. I want to show you the mountains and the upstate here because just about all of us are going to see some sort of impactful weather over the next 2 hours, including this new severe thunderstorm warning that includes Greenville and Spartanburg County. So this is a line that is broken. Now there's going to be some of you, there's always that person that's going to be missing the storms here. And that looks like western Cherokee County, eastern parts of Spartanburg County may be in that little broken part of it, but this is a stout line pushing through Polk County right now. Then it breaks up a little bit from Hendersonville to the west into Transylvania County. Then it picks back up with this line. This entire line is going to push off toward the south. And again, giving you a storm track here from Grace. It's got it about 8:30 in Greenville, Clemson at about 9 o'clock, Toccoa at about 9:30, Anderson, and then Hartwell at about 10:09. So pushing down toward the south goes this entire line. But there are parts of it that still have the potential to be rotating. And that's what we have right now across parts of Swain and Graham counties as we're watching this right now across the mountains. Lots and lots of lightning associated with this as it's rolling on through Robbinsville, Yellow Creek. You need to be taking this seriously. Nantahala, you are in our viewing area. If you're near Nantahala, the outdoor center right there, you need to be getting into a sturdy building away from some trees. That is a hard thing to do in that area as it is a very mountainous, wooded area. You would not see this coming if there is a tornado on the ground. It is going to be rain wrapped, and I mean a lot of rain. So there's no way of seeing this coming as we're watching it closely as it rolls on through these areas, watching that very, very closely. So Yellow Creek to Robbinsville, Highway 129, you need to be seeking shelter right there. Nantahala, you are included in this. This goes until 8:15. Now, Andrews, you're just outside of the tornado warning of this. And for you folks in the mountains, we don't get a whole lot of tornado warnings. So watching this closely for you, this is a cell that has been rotating as it pushes on down toward the south here near Yellow Creek, Robbinsville, Valleytown, just west of Bryson City right here. And this is pushing toward the south very quickly. Lots and lots of lightning associated with this. Is one after another after another. In fact, you'll see it blink when a new one comes up. Just about every couple of seconds you're going to see another one come up. You think this is the last 15 minutes. There's been 550 of them strike the ground right here. So very electrical storms as this rolls on through these areas. We're going to watch that closely for you folks there. As we're looking at other lines of this, Buncombe County near Asheville, you were under a tornado warning for quite a bit of time. That same cell sits over Polk and Rutherford County. It kind of hopped and skipped over parts of Henderson County. Now you're kind of in a lull in between there. Same story for Travelers Rest in Greenville. We're kind of in between those two cells. If we put this in motion, we'll kind of see this whole broken line is going to be moving on through. So as it moves toward the south, southeast, there's going to be some areas that miss out. It could be right there there in between Greenville. I mean, you could have it on either side. So Five Forks and Greer get it, but Greenville doesn't. We're just going to have to watch the trajectory of these storms as this broken line moves on through. But boy, it's packing a punch as it rolls on through. In this sector of the storms, we have about 800 lightning strikes. So a severe thunderstorm warning does include Greenville County, basically Lake Robinson east. This does include Lyman Lake up through Lake Bowen and Spartanburg County. Watching this very closely right along Highway 25 and 26. So basically from 25 to I-26, this is rolling on down the mountain. So Columbus to Landrum, pushing down 26 right here. Got a big storm right there. But the storm that is the most concerning right now is the tornado warned storm that is up toward the mountains right now in parts of Swain and Graham counties. There is some rotation in this in a couple of different areas. We've been watching this line come through, and what happens in a line like this is you get a segment of it that wants to extend out faster than the other segment, and that is the concern here. Is right along Highway 129, you got this area that is kind of trying to accelerate faster than the actual line itself, and that gives you that spin up or that rotation. There's also some other broad rotation showing up from Bryson City west. You need to be seeking shelter and being kind of in your safe place anywhere in Bryson City. Watching this Robbinsville up through Yellow Creek, rotating right in this area right here. So all in all, this is a fierce line of storms that's rolling through the area. Thankful to have live Super Doppler 4 that gives us that instant look at where these storms are located. Lots and lots of lightning as it crosses on through these areas. Very electrical in nature. That in and of itself is a danger, but you also add in the main concern, which is our strong winds. And that's been the concern throughout the day today, is strong winds, lightning, and the potential for some rotating thunderstorms. And the highest risk for that rotation has been centered over western North Carolina tonight. Not to say that the upstate, has a zero threat. It's not zero, but it is low. There's a little bit more ingredients up toward the mountains tonight, northbound, where you're closer to that low pressure system. So this tornado warning continues here for Graham and Swain counties until 8:15. We're watching it for Yellow Creek, Robbinsville, over through Valleytown into Nantahala. And again, live Super Doppler 4 scanning this closely as we watch it as it moves on through these areas. And there has been some rotating columns of air in just about this whole entire line, stretching all the way to Charlotte, to the mountains right here. And this is basically an X-ray. Live Super Doppler 4 gives us a look at inside these storms. So you're not looking at rain or lightning or anything with this. This is how the winds are behaving. And when you have raindrops that are going a different direction, like away from our radar or toward our radar, you get this rotation in this location. So up toward the mountains, we're watching that closely as we get a couple of different scans in here. This gives us that location as to where the storms are located. And we also have access to the Morristown radar up toward Tennessee. So watching this entire line, those of you watching us right now across the upstate are saying, hey, what's going on? What are we seeing right here? Lots of lightning. Well, that's what's happening on through. If you were to look up toward the north right now, you would see that line moving on through. And in fact, when we can, if we can show up the Skycam from Greenville looking up toward the north, this is our Woodruff Road Skycam. When you get a chance, I'd love to see that just to kind of give people some perspective as we're watching this broken line. Now, it is beginning to get a little bit more broken, meaning not everybody in the upstate is going to see a storm tonight. But again, those of us that do, our mantra tonight has been, if you get a storm, it's going to be severe. Let's look closer at that Woodruff Road Skycam. You can see it very closely. Boy, oh boy, you can see up toward the north there. And again, when we have these low-hanging portions of the clouds, that gives us the concern that when you get that rotation, that it's not too far from the ground. So from Greenville looking up toward the north, when you see these little scud clouds right here, you got to kind of pay attention to it, because there's not much distance from the base of that storm to the surface, which is why the mountains have a little bit more of a concern of tornadic activity. Right now, there's nothing going on in Greenville. There is no concern for severe weather right here. However, just to the north, in fact, you can see right there at the kind of the very right-hand side of your screen, just some pouring rain. That is actually the storm that is in northern Greenville County. Let's take a look at live Super Doppler 4, get you back to that. You can see there is a warning from basically Greenville east, and it's looking up toward this line right in here. So this broken line is going to be moving on through Spartanburg County. You're under that severe thunderstorm warning, back through Brevard, Cullowhee, Franklin, Salem, Oconee County, back through Pickens. Just about everybody's going to see some of this rain as it rolls on through, and the base of the storms is pretty low tonight. So that means it doesn't have far to travel for it to give you a touchdown of a tornado or that rotation. Here we are with this tornado warning. This is why you see the crawl at the top of your screen. And our commitment here at WYFF4 is to always cover our area to its entirety. When there's a dangerous storm, we're going to be on air letting you know about it and keeping you safe through the storm. So this severe thunderstorm warning and this tornado warning covers both Swain and Graham counties right now, as this entire line is dangerous, producing some damaging winds. But in particular, right in here is where there's just enough rotation to prompt this tornado warning. This is for Yellow Creek up toward parts of Jenkins Meadow. This is getting very close to you folks at Nantahala near the Outdoor Center. So we're going to be watching this closely as it pushes on down toward the south right here. Let's put a storm track on this right here if we can. Grace is manning the radar right now, watching this as it pushes toward Nantahala, Valley Town, Highway 29 in this. Lots and lots of lightning associated with it. As we look at this very closely, as we look at all this lightning. In fact, we have a new camera we want to show you here from the Nantahala Outdoor Center. This is a great spot to look for the storms. It is pouring right now, and this is the deal. When you see a storm like this, like Nantahala is under that tornado warning right now, you have to take it seriously because you're not going to see it coming. One, you're so wooded in this environment. Two, it's rain wrapped. This is absolutely pouring torrential rain right now. So should we get an actual tornado on the ground, you wouldn't see it coming, which is a dangerous part. This is not like out west where you can see it 10, 20 miles away. Let's get you that storm track across the area and kind of time this out as it heads toward Nantahala, which is targeting about 7:51. So that's when the rotating part of that thunderstorm will be at the Nantahala Outdoor Center there. We're looking at Hardin, Andrews Murphy Airport at about 7:45, Valley Town, and then getting into these areas near Nantahala between 7:50 and 8 o'clock. So within the next 20 minutes, this storm is going to be bearing down on parts of Nantahala and surrounding areas near Robbinsville up through Yellow Creek. And this is just absolutely pouring right now with one lightning strike after another here. Very electrical storm, 600 plus lightning strikes here in the past 15 minutes as this cell pushes on down toward the south right here. So watching this closely for you folks across western North Carolina and the upstate. Now again, the upstate's not a zero threat for tornadoes, but it is a lower threat as we watch this line push on into the upstate shortly. There is one severe thunderstorm warning that includes Greenville and Pickens County, or I should say Spartanburg County. And honestly, it's more Spartanburg at this point than it is Greenville. As we put this in motion from Columbus out of Polk County, this is sliding on into the northern part of Spartanburg County. And this part of the storm kind of died down. So the Greenville side of the storm is actually fizzling out. Meanwhile, it's kind of ramping up here for you folks in Chesney. Grace, I know you're watching that close for Mayo, parts of Chesney, watching it on down toward Cherokee County as well, as we're watching those areas very closely.
Chris, yeah, you're right. I mean, we were talking about with each of these storms carrying damaging wind gusts potentially, and yes, that tornado threat, but you notice mainly for folks up in western North Carolina, we have seen these rattle off every 30 minutes or so, and it is rare that you do see a tornado warning up in the mountains, and this has been the case for us this evening. Something I am watching, though, of course, are these stronger storms. Yes, we have a tornado warning for folks up near Graham and Swain, but just kind of showing you this broken line and where it really does set up, beginning to see that severe thunderstorm warning entering parts of Chesney, Mayo, Boiling Springs, and then one step over from Rutherford and Shelby all the way into parts of Cherokee County. And you see just within this frame right here how much lightning is in with this storm, right? Up to 300 lightning strikes. So as we're tracking these storms and as we're tracking these areas beginning to see some of these heavier downpours, the main threat for you guys is going to be damaging winds, those straight line winds, potentially knocking out power, of course, knocking over trees. We have seen so many reports from these storms since earlier this afternoon and evening, really just knocking over trees, knocking over power lines. And once again, this is something we're going to be watching pretty much all evening long as we're now getting closer towards 8 o'clock. Remember, we were just with you just about an hour ago, and we said around 7:45 to 8:15 and begin to cross that North Carolina, South Carolina state line. And Chris, we're beginning to see this come to fruition as this line continues to push on through the area.
Yeah, that's key. We got to watch this line very closely as it's rolling on through. It is a broken line, meaning not every single one of you are going to see a storm tonight. And hey, I know what it's like to see that banner at the top that says tornado warning, and that causes a lot of anxiety, especially given the warnings and the severe weather that we've had in years past. But here's the deal. Not all of us are going to see severe weather tonight. We do all need to be aware that it is possible as this line slides out of the mountains. But the most significant part of the storm right here is near Robbinsville, pushing toward Nantahala. Do have some broad level circulation in here that we've been looking at from our Doppler radar, which shoots up like this. And then you've also got Morristown, which sits up in Tennessee, shooting down the mountain. So we get kind of two radars to look at this closely and give us that instant look, which is honestly a critical tool in a situation like this to be able to tell you what's happening and where and when. But again, Yellow Creek to Robbinsville to Nantahala, you need to be seeking shelter. If this is not a tornado, it is at least some very strong winds. We've had wind gusts 60+ miles per hour across all areas in the mountains tonight. line, and this is becoming a line that's pushing on through many areas here. So you folks in the upstate watching right now, we are under a severe thunderstorm watch. That's basically like having all the ingredients sitting on your counter for a cake to be made. But a warning means the cake's already made and it's there, right? And that's what we have right now. There's an active warning with winds 45 miles per hour going away from the radar, and then you've got some winds that are going toward the radar right here. And again, we're watching that closely with that broad level rotation in and around the parts of the mountains here across Swain and Graham counties, northwest of Nantahala. Now, this is in some rural areas. This is in some wooded areas, which is dangerous in and of itself, right? You're not going to see something like this coming, and those damaging winds can be dangerous in many areas. So trees down are the main concern. As we look at this whole line right here, I'm getting storm reports here to my left all across I-77 and I-40 of this bringing down some trees, and some of them are on actual highways and interstates like I-77. There's actually a tree down right now on exit 35. This is on I-77. So just to give you some perspective here, this is causing some damage up and down this line. The main concern though sits right now across Swain and Graham counties as we're watching this line roll on through these areas of Robbinsville, Valleytown, Burningtown, and then Bryson City. Kind of just to the west of downtown Bryson City. And again, this is a very popular area to go this time of the year for vacation. If you want to spend the day up in the mountains to kind of exploring. Today, not the best of days to be doing that, as we got lots of storm activity, lots of lightning. But I got to tell you, I mean, there's a lot of people that are camping right now. So if you know of anybody that might be up in these areas like Bryson City, Robbinsville, Murphy, or Hayesville, maybe get on the phone and give them a call and say, hey, here's what we're seeing. Here's what's happening right now. They're probably very aware of that with the line of storms and the lightning that's taking place right now. So putting a track on this, Live Super Dots before kind of estimates where this is going. Grace just drew this on Valleytown, Paris Gap, Hayesville at about 8:15, then Shooting Creek, Hiawassee at about 8:37, and then Mountain City at about 9:03 as this line pushes on down toward the south. Now, again, it's a broken line, meaning it could hop and skip your town. Now, you got Lake Keowee, Lake Jocassee, Lake Hartwell, kind of all in the path of this, and very electrical storms as they do. Continue to watch this severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Greenville and Spartanburg counties. This is more Spartanburg than it is Greenville. In fact, you folks in Taylors and Greer and Inman, you're very close to it in Inman, but Lyman Lake, you're kind of in between it, all right? So this is kind of split, and it looks like the more dominant storm is this one across northern Spartanburg County. So Lake Bowen's getting it right now along I-26. That's going to continue to head on off toward the east along the Cherokee and Spartanburg County line. So heads up Spartanburg, heads up Pauline. We're going to be watching this very closely for you. Looks like it's kind of splitting here across Travelers Rest and Greenville, meaning it might go on either side. Now, not to say that this won't kind of continue and consolidate into a line, as there's multiple segments of it. But that said, this is a situation that we're watching very closely, as any number of these could produce some strong damaging winds that we're watching very closely in these areas. But a severe thunderstorm warning is in effect right now for Greenville and Spartanburg counties. You're seeing your town at the top of the screen and saying, hey, but I also see tornado. The tornado concern is strictly right now in the rural parts of the mountains here in Robbinsville and Graham and Swain counties. Hundreds of lightning strikes, 800 or so lightning strikes here in just the past 15 to 20 minutes in Robbinsville and Yellow Creek. Looks like we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning just issued for parts of the upstate out of this segment that's across the Pickens, Oconee County line. And let's put this in motion right here, kind of get its trajectory. If you're looking from Lake Keowee up toward the north, this is coming in towards you right now. So heads up on Lake Keowee, Salem, Keowee Key. We're watching this closely for you at Walhalla. You're all under a severe thunderstorm warning right now. Grace, does this have a tornado tag on it?
I was clicking on it just to go ahead and check and see, and as of right now, it does have the tornado possible tag on there.
Yeah, just about any one of these storms has the potential to be rotating. So what we have here is an active severe thunderstorm warning that includes Greenville, Oconee, Pickens, and Transylvania County. And for Greenville, it's kind of the extreme western parts right along the Saluda right there. And the tornado tag is a new designation within the past couple of years that allows the National Weather Service to say, hey, we're watching for the potential that this could be tornadic, but not actually giving it that tornado warning. And in this, as we're kind of x-raying it, Grace turns on the velocity here. We've got some strong strong winds, but there's no clear indication of some strong rotation. That said, it can be as easy as just one little segment of this kind of racing off past another part. So Lake Jocassee, Lake Kiwi, we got to watch this closely for you folks in Salem and Pickens and Kiwi Key. This is going to be pushing on down toward the south for you within the next 30 minutes or so as it rolls on through. The concern, though, for a tornado is strictly up here towards Swain and parts of Macon County into Graham County. All of these areas seeing some broad rotation right now, and this is a very rural area that doesn't have tornado concerns very often, but when you do, we got to stay dialed in on it because it's very wooded. You wouldn't see it coming, and these trees can come down very easily when they're stressed to the max, like we're seeing right now in many locations. So Robbinsville to Nantahala seeing that threat and that concern as we're watching that on through. Getting some new information here. They are continuing the severe thunderstorm watch across the upstate for more areas downstream from this. So lots of lightning associated with this. So let's do kind of a broad look right now. We'll kind of show you this broken line as it rolls on through and giving you a town by town look. So let's start with this one across Cherokee County, and then we'll work our way back toward the west. Grace, across parts of Cherokee County, this is a fierce line across Cleveland County. It's going to clip you folks in Gaffney right along the I-85 corridor. I would not recommend traveling in this along I-85 as this travels toward the southeast toward York County, being Grover, Clover, Smyrna, York, and then Tegakay toward Rock Hill near Carowinds at about 8:50. So between now and 9 o'clock, the next hour, it's racing that way, kind of away from our area, but it will graze you folks in Cherokee County. Now next on the list is this across Rutherford County. We've got lots of heavy rain across Spartanburg County. There's not as much lightning as there once was, but there's certainly some rumbles out there. You're probably hearing it. This severe thunderstorm warning does include parts of Spartanburg and Greenville County. This is pushing off toward the south. Looks like they literally, as you drew that, Grace, actively put a new severe thunderstorm warning, which is probably worthy because this is kind of turning into a new area. So Boiling Springs, Spartanburg, let's do another one here from Landrum toward the south. This is heading towards you folks in Spartanburg. Now Lyman Lake, you're kind of just on the outskirts of it. New Prospect, Inman, Boiling Springs, Valley Falls, Spartanburg, Fairmont, we're talking about strong winds. This is not a tornado warning. This is a severe thunderstorm warning. It includes you folks in Spartanburg County until about 8:15 right here. Polk County.
This one does have the tornado possible tag, the first one that has just been drawn.
Good to know there, Grace. Thank you so much for that. Now, again, the tornado possible tag is something that just basically says, hey, this is capable of strong winds, hail, but also has the potential to be tornadic. It's not tornadic at the moment, but has the potential to be. So we'll watch that cell right there. Then you go back here toward two more warnings. We got this one across Pickens County, does graze parts of Greenville. So West Greenville, Judson Mill areas toward the west, you're going to be in the path of this. Caesar's Head, anytime in the next 10 minutes or so. East of Towey at about 8:11, 9 times, then Pickens, and then Ariel, and then Easley, all between now and the next 45 minutes or so, watching that as it races on through these areas. And again, not everybody's going to see it. You're going to say, hey, where'd my storm go? This new warning does include Macon, Oconee, Pickens, Rabun County, Georgia until 8:45, and this is part of that same line that's up toward Macon County. Does this one have the tornado tag on it?
It does, yes.
Yeah, there we go. So just about everybody on this path has the potential to see this flare up into a tornado warning, but this is pushing through you folks in western Oconee County, and we'll get into the lake. So if you don't get hit by this one that's on the east side, there's a good chance it's going to be near you folks on Lake Kiwi, near Moody Cove, within the next 30 minutes or so. Then Boones Creek, Salem, getting close to the power plant there at about 8:50, then 6 Mile at about 8:55. So just about everybody on the lakes, whether it be Hartwell or Kiwi, you're going to be impacted by one of these storms or the other within the next hour or so. Let's check back in with this tornado warning that's on the north and western side of this. You're in rural parts of Swain and Graham counties right now near Robbinsville. Some broad level circulation has been present with this. Nantahala west through Robbinsville. This warning goes until 8 o'clock here as we're watching this line move on through. And this has had a history of producing some damaging winds. And we did have a confirmed tornado out of Tennessee that crossed over into Graham, I should say Madison County today. And we're watching the same thing happen right now for parts of Graham and Swain County near Robbinsville. Lots of lightning. And that's the thing with these storms is they're producing one lightning strike after another. And especially on this western side of the storm, you got 600 plus lightning strikes right now within the past 15 minutes or so. So Grace, watching this line as it comes on through, And I'm looking at some of these storm reports back through Charlotte. Boy, we've had some trees come down, and that's the concern. Primarily the winds are the main concern out of this.
Chris, you're right. I mean, we have been seeing so many storm reports. People are sending in photos. And the first thing we saw earlier this afternoon, that was the reports of hail, and people holding golf ball sized hail within their hands. And then the next thing have been trees down, power outages as well. I know we've been dealing with several damaging wind gusts outside. I'm going to go ahead and reset really quickly just to give an idea. We had just had several severe thunderstorm warnings issued now for parts of the upstate. Remember, we said around that 8 o'clock hour is going to be crossing that state line. And every single one of these severe thunderstorm warnings, I went back and checked, has the tornado possible tag. It doesn't mean there's a tornado within that thunderstorm. Doesn't mean there is going to be a tornado warning. It just means that if you are within this thunderstorm warning, that potentially could happen. But overall, I want you to make sure you are staying safe and, of course, staying inside and getting shelter. If you got anybody traveling right now, right along I-85, crossing from Shelby into Cherokee County, I know that one's moving south and east, but it certainly could start to begin to clip parts of Blacksburg up near Gaffney as well. So I want you to make sure you're staying aware, you're being careful. I'm going to go ahead really quickly, go thunderstorm by thunderstorm right now. And the one that's really producing a lot of lightning is just right in parts of Shelby, beginning to cross over into Cherokee County. So Blacksburg, I'm sure you're hearing it. I'm sure you're seeing it. It's on your doorstep right now. Gaffney crossing over from Bowling Springs, North Carolina, in to Cherokee County. Over near Chesney and Mayo, once again, you guys aren't within that severe thunderstorm warning, but I want you to make sure you're being careful, right? Stay inside. I've been getting some text messages about power flickering for my folks up in Mayo and Chesney as well. So go ahead, just get in that innermost part of your home, just because of these storms have had a history all day long of producing, number one, tornado warnings. We had that confirmed tornado in Tennessee that crossed over into Madison County, and then once again damaging wind gusts and heavy rain out there. I mean, just going through right now as this broken line, Chris, and I think we just got a brand new severe thunderstorm warning, is beginning to cross over the state line. It's once again, we said this could be an issue as we go late towards this evening and afternoon, with the timing was going to be up until 11 p.m. and looks like that's coming to fruition right now. Yeah, and that's exactly what's happening right now. And this line that's producing these strong winds moving on through. This new severe thunderstorm warning does include Franklin, North Carolina. A great report there, Grace, as we're watching this near Jackson, Macon County. This right near Franklin is pushing toward the south and east here near Oconee County, getting into Rabun County right now. We've also got a tornado tag possible on this. And again, that's just a nice way, honestly, for the National Weather Service to let us know that, hey, this is severe right now. The main concern is wind, but we also need to look out for the fact that this could flare up and be a tornadic cell with some rotation. So you're seeing a little bit of hook action on this, which is why just about every single one of these, including the one over Pickens and Greenville County, does have that tornado possible tag on it. You've got some strong winds. You've got a little hook in there with this cell that's just north of Lake Jocassee right here. And again, live Super Doppler 4 giving us that instant look at where these storms are, helps us to see where the storms are located instantly without a delay. And right now you've got a little bit of stronger winds pushing out, and that's common when you go over the lake right here, because the lakes offer less friction, and that can sometimes give you that. So some strong winds pushing through Cashers, parts of Dunn's Rock and the Brevard, 30, 40, 50 miles per hour, and that's producing the potential for some severe weather in this neck of the woods right here across southern Transylvania, back through southern Jackson County, right along 64 and 74. Cashers west, you got some strong storms. This is also pushing towards you folks in Oconee County. So heads up Oconee and Pickens County, just about everybody under a severe thunderstorm warning right now. Watching that closely for you folks as it rolls on through. We've also got Clay County in on this, Macon County now in on the action, Hayesville North. This is basically anybody downstream from that tornado warned storm that's over Robbinsville. This will continue for Cherokee, Clay, and Monroe counties until 9 p.m. for you folks in far western North Carolina, from Murphy basically to Hayesville, pushing toward the south right here. This will get into North Georgia as well, Sky Valley up through Franklin. And then we check on these storms back through the west. Again, it's a broken line, but looks like it's actually trying to become a little less broken, kind of consolidating back together here across Pickens and Oconee County, which is why you see overlapping severe thunderstorm warnings. And then you kind of got a little hole over parts of Travelers Rest and Greenville.
But honestly, in the last few frames, looks like it's trying to form downstream of the mountains right there. So that is that collapsing thunderstorm that moved off the mountains. And oftentimes what you'll get is when it gets kind of free of the mountains, it kind of accelerates back up. You get downsloping, which cancels it out, down, 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 and then it kind of accelerates. So wouldn't be surprised to see this try to turn into a little something a little more spicy there across Lake Robinson. Right now it's nothing severe, but you're getting some rain that's moving through those areas. Then you got Landrum, I-26 corridor. That is pushing through you folks just east of Lyman Lake right here. So watching that closely. Lyman downtown, you're kind of in that as it pushes through Spartanburg. Wade Hampton Boulevard down 26 right here. This goes through Boiling Springs, Valley Falls, Saxon, Fairmont, and then Foster Mill, all within the next 30 to 45 minutes. So rocking through some very populated areas of Spartanburg County. And again, not tornadic, but we do have the potential. In fact, there's a flare-up right in here of what could be some hail as you go east on 26 and Highway 11 right here as this rolls on through parts of northern Spartanburg County between New Prospect and Coulee Springs. Just south of you folks in Little Africa, got a return right here. Anytime it's pink or purple like that, usually indicates to us either some really heavy rain, but most likely some hail showing up on this, as this is a developing stronger storm and a core right here. So we'll have to watch that one. When you get a core to kind of scale up like that, it can sometimes be a little bit feisty as it pushes on through. Looks like I got a new severe thunderstorm warning downstream for that one across eastern Cherokee County. Watching that closely. Looks like we are going to get a new tornado warning for Macon County, North Carolina. So they are going to continue this down into Macon County for you folks in Hayesville. So go ahead and get to your safe place there in Rosman and Hayesville, Macon County. You are under a tornado warning, or will be any minute now for Valleytown. This is coming out of this cell out of Robbinsville. Watching this closely for you folks just west of Nantahala. You kind of managed to get on the outskirts of it, but now there's still some rotation associated with across Macon County, Valleytown, right across the line here going into Macon County, which is why this is going to continue down toward the south. So you folks in Rosman, you folks all across Hayesville need to be seeking shelter. Get to the most interior part of your home, as we'll be watching this close as it rolls on through. Live Super Doppler 4's mapping this out. Very electrical. And folks, hey, this is not out west. This is not Kansas or Oklahoma. This is a very wooded area, a very rural area of North Carolina with a lot of heavy rain. So if there is a tornado in this, you're not going to see it. It's going to be rain wrapped and completely disguised by what looks just to be some heavy rain, and you would get the strong winds with it. So we are going to see this new tornado warning come for Macon County here. We'll find out the details on that any minute now. The folks at the National Weather Service in Greer doing a great job keeping us up to date on what's going on with these downstream warnings. And again, this is kind of turn a little more feisty moving into parts of the upstate and North Georgia right here. So we're going to have to watch this whole line as it pushes on through. You got kind of a gap right here, but it's trying to consolidate. Grace just drawing on a storm track here gets us into the upstate, just to give you an idea of what we're tracking and where. This does not mean a tornado is going to be in these cities at this time, but rather the rain, the storm action. So Mountain City, Clayton, Walhalla at about 8:45, Easley, Clemson to Toccoa at about 9:37. So we're watching this closely in these areas for the next 30 to 45 minutes. This is packing a punch as it rolls on through these areas. Severe thunderstorm warning does include Pickens, Greenville, and Oconee County. Then you got a separate one here for this cell right here. Then you go back through Spartanburg County. You got a new severe thunderstorm warning just south of Landrum. This is pushing right along the I-26 corridor, basically due south or south-southeast right now as Live Super Doppler 4 continues to track this. And these cells are kind of getting a little more strong too. Nothing severe out of them, but I am starting to see them getting a little bit stronger here. Lyman Lake, you're now getting some rain from this one. It is not part of that severe thunderstorm that's to the east, or rather just some heavy rain heading toward the lake right here. That'll eventually push toward Greer and Lyman, pushing on through those areas as we're watching that move on through very closely. So severe thunderstorm warnings across the upstate with tornadic concerns. They're not our primary concern across the upstate. Strong winds will be. These are also going to make some noise as they roll through. And just because the mountains had some tornado concerns today doesn't mean you won't. Here's the new tornado warning that includes Valleytown in North Carolina. This is for Macon County. Getting the details on this right here as it goes through Valleytown and surrounding areas. Watching this very closely here. Does have some rotation associated with it heading toward Rosman and Hayesville. This tornado warning does include Cherokee and Clay into Macon counties until 9 o'clock. So we got a new tornado warning for these communities until 8:45 right there for Cherokee and Clay County. And then you've got the severe thunderstorm warning for areas outside of there until 9 o'clock. So a big storm here. This has had a history of producing some rotation at times here near Valleytown, now Nantahala, pushing on down toward the south near Hayesville and Shooting Creek. So watching this whole line very, very closely. Highway 64, just about anybody on the path of this needs to be seeking shelter, getting to a safe place. That means getting to the interior part of your home. There are a lot of wooded areas up here, lots of trees in and around this area. So we've got to take this seriously. We've got to be aware that this could turn strong for your community, for your town, up through the mountains. If you've been in Nantahala, Bryson City today, you've been seeing those storms rocking, lots of lightning, lots of heavy rainfall, and a new tornado warning here for Franklin down through Dillard. This does include Rabun County. So 2 new tornado warnings have been posted here for Cherokee and Clay, and then parts of Macon County pushing through Sky Valley and Rabun County. That's getting closer to that cell that is in Oconee County. So you do not have a tornado warning in Oconee County, but if this cell were to continue near Franklin and push on down toward the south, you would be very, very close to that. So this new tornado warning, getting the latest update on that, will go until 8:45 right here for Franklin toward Clayton right here into North Georgia and Rabun County. So again, watching the rotation in this area very closely as it packs a punch as it rolls on toward the south and east very quickly right here. There are some pockets of this that are rotating, and in this you can probably see right in there that brighter spot right there. That is a part of the storm that is accelerating more quickly, and you can see the classic radar look right here. So this is a line that has a segment within that line that's accelerating out past it, which is giving us that potential for a tornado. We can get a storm track on this line right here and this new tornado warned cell to give you a town-by-town look at where it's going across parts of the mountains. You need to seek shelter in Franklin and Rosman and Hayesville, pushing down toward the south, Shooting Creek, Highlands, Clayton, Tiger, and then Tallulah Falls, and then eventually, if it holds together, being near Walhalla at about 9:30. So an hour to an hour and a half as it's moving into the upstate out of the mountains very, very quickly in some of these areas. So watching that closely. For you folks in and around the lake, you've got some strong storms on either side of you right now. Severe thunderstorm warnings. We've got heavy rain. We've got lightning in these areas as it pushes off toward the south and east. Multiple tornado warnings right here for Robbinsville, Cherokee, Clay counties, and then you got this one across parts of Macon County down toward Rabun County. So we'll watch both of these cells, and then I'm starting to see this consolidate into another line right here. Grace, you're watching this for your folks there and parts of Cherokee County into Spartanburg County. That line's actually starting to flare up a little bit as well.
Yeah, Chris, I remember just about 10-15 minutes ago we were talking about this potentially could try to make one big line once again as it moved through the mountains, was separate different cells now trying to kind of consolidate here right over, stretching. It looks like the storms are holding hands right across from severe thunderstorm warning to severe thunderstorm warning. Now beginning to see some heavier downpours just north of Travelers Rest through Inman now into Boiling Springs, and boy, it is rocking and rolling in Mayo. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in right outside of there near Mountain View, Cherokee Springs. You guys up near Boiling Springs as well. This is right along right outside of 221, so a bit closer into folks in Lake Blaylock. If you got any friends or family there, you're not within that severe thunderstorm warning, but you are dealing with some heavy rain. And like Chris just mentioned, when you do see those purples or those pinks, that means it's picking up on potentially some hail. And these storms have had a history of producing golf ball sized hail. So it has certainly been rocking and rolling. There's a brand new scan here as it continues to push south up near Cherokee Springs, Valley Falls. Cannons Campground Road and Cowpens, you guys will be next. I'm going to go ahead and zoom over a bit closer towards Cherokee County as up near Shelby, crossing through Earl, a bit closer potentially up towards Gastonia and Blacksburg. You guys could be dealing with some heavy rain in just about 10 to 15 minutes as well. And each of these thunderstorms do have that tornado possible tag. And watching once again this, both tornado warnings are 3 separate ones right now across parts of western North Carolina. That's what we were talking about. A few of these severe thunderstorm warnings potentially could produce tornadoes, and we just saw this happen as one of these severe thunderstorm warnings have produced potentially some rotation out there, and really beginning to see this line form together as potentially as it makes its way closer towards Greenville, even into downtown, and may potentially begin to get a bit more organized, get a bit more together, like a line kind of just falling through what we saw earlier on the Tennessee state line. Now several hours later as it passed through the mountains, Mountains beginning to see that once again as it continues to move to our southern counties. So I'm going to go ahead and once again put a track for this one severe thunderstorm warning right near Boiling Springs, up near Spartanburg as well, headed towards Cowpens. Let's go ahead and draw a brand new track on this for you guys as I'm continuing to watch this within the next hour or so. Potentially Valley Falls, it's on your doorstep. Spartanburg up near Roebuck, Pauline, you guys closer to 9 o'clock around 8:47. This doesn't mean we're tracking a tornado within this, just means that we're dealing with some heavier rain, and parts of this storm have been warned on for sure. And Chris, I know we have 2 separate tornado warnings across this area. Once again, we're just been watching these storms kind of flare up here and there within the last hour or so.
Yeah, watching this for Franklin up through Nantahala, Robbinsville, both areas under tornado concerns, stretching down toward Hayesville, near Robbinsville, Rosman seeing some of this as well. Watching this very closely as this whole line has been very strong as it rolls on through. We've got a tornado warning for Franklin, need to be taking this seriously for Rabun County. And then we've got multiple severe thunderstorm warnings for parts of Pickens and Oconee County on either side of the lake right now. Some strong storms rolling through these areas, and each of these indicating a little bit of rotation. In fact, this storm is flaring up across Pickens County. Let's get in and look at some of those winds and some of the storm in this, and Pickens pushing toward the south. We're watching this closely in these areas, and again producing some strong winds down 178, Pumpkin Town, Lakemont, up through Rocky Bottom. Watching this along 178 and Highway 11 right in here. This does have a tornado possible tag on it, which means it is a thunderstorm that is so severe that it is capable of rotating. So it is not actively rotating, but we know that it could at any moment. So Dacusville, Pickens, Ariel, Easley, then Parker, then the St. Francis downtown would be next on that. And this is a strong line that stretches all the way up and down I-85, pushing toward the south. Our entire area under a severe thunderstorm watch right now as we're watching this closely on live Super Doppler 4. Just about all of us seeing some strong storms across the area from Asheville south and westbound, Leicester through Mills River, active severe thunderstorm warnings. And we're watching Greenville County, Spartanburg County as well. All of these are packing a punch with some strong winds. Watching it closely across Georgia, Clayton, Rabun County, you're under that tornado warning. And then you go back through the lakes. Either side of the lake is a strong storm, kind of alternate severe thunderstorm warnings right here for 60+ mile/hour winds near 6 Mile, Liberty, Pickens. Then you got Travelers Rest. This one's flaring up just north of Paris Mountain right there over Travelers Rest and Greenville. When we have a second, if we can look at some of our sky cams, probably our Woodruff Road, looking up toward the north, just let me know when we have that. Mayo to Cowpens to Boiling Springs to Spartanburg. This whole line is producing some strong winds as it pushes off toward the south, and it's entering an environment that is very unstable. Let's take a closer look at our Woodruff Road sky cam that looks up toward the north, towards some of these storms. We've been watching them get closer and closer to the upstate, and that's the concern as we watch it on live Super Doppler 4. We can also watch it on our sky cams. Here's a closer look at that. You see the low base of the clouds. That's one concern here, is that it wouldn't take much to get some of those storms to develop some rotation in some of these locations. Watching this for Greenville and surrounding areas, we are hot, we are unstable, and there's a piece of energy in that parts of the atmosphere. What does that mean? Well, basically, it's a recipe for some strong storms in many areas. So watching this closely for the upstate and surrounding areas. Live Super Doppler 4 is on it right now. Let's look at that same storm off toward the west and north of Greenville right here as we're watching this move in. Now, Greenville's kind of in the middle. We've got some storms north of Paris Mountain and Travelers Rest. We've also got some of those storms that are trying to come on through. This is now getting a couple of lightning strikes with it in and around Greenville County, so we're watching that for downtown Greenville, Taylors, Five Forks. You're going to get some rain. Lake Robinson, you're in and out of some rain, but nothing severe right now. Lots of lightning, though. This is starting to turn into a little bit more of a electrical storm. And again, this is where it starts, and it kind of escalates from there in some areas. Wade Hampton Boulevard down through Taylors and Greer seeing some rain. Lyman Lake, it's pouring right now, but it's not severe. Now, we do have severe concerns back through Spartanburg, Boiling Springs, Spartanburg, downtown, pushing toward Pauline. And we're going to be watching that closely as this does have a flare-up right in there. Likely some hail right along the I-85 corridor between Mayo and Spartanburg near Cherokee Springs, 221, as it crosses over I-85 right there, just north of you folks in Cannon's Campground. That would be a concern there, as we'd have some hail concerns and some really, really heavy rain associated with this. And again, anywhere on this line could flare up and be a quick tornado spin up, as this line does have a history of producing some rotation. Lake Cunningham seeing some rain, Lake Robinson back through Inman, as you go back through Boiling Springs seeing some heavy rain, back through parts of 292 down through Lyman. Lyman Lake seeing some rain right now. New scan of live Super Doppler 4 coming coming in. That's showing it going through Arkwright and then WYFF Boulevard. And you go back toward the west, we've got 2 tornado warnings, one for Macon County, one up through Robbinsville, both of which have had a history of producing some rotation and some rotating thunderstorms in and around this area. What's happening is basically this line's coming through in a line, and parts of that line are accelerating past other parts of it, which gives us a little bit of rotation in some of this, and that gives us the concern for some rotating thunderstorms. And in this case, that's what we have right now happening across Franklin, Macon County, down through Rabun County. And again, anywhere in the path of this, you need to be seeking shelter in Rabun County. This does not include Oconee County. We're watching it closely for you folks, as there are some strong winds moving through Salem, Lake Keowee, Lake Jocassee, up through northern parts of Lake Hartwell. Watching that very closely in these areas. New scan coming in a live Super Doppler 4. And again, we're looking for little flare-ups right in here. That appears to be the stronger part of it, as we're seeing a quick flare-up right here down 23 towards Sky Valley. This would get us out of North Carolina into Rabun County, into Georgia. So watching this whole area very closely as we have tornadic concerns in this. And where we don't have tornadic concerns, the primary concern is the strong gusty winds. The entire upstate under a severe thunderstorm watch. That means conditions are favorable for severe weather, and we'll be watching that closely. But at times near Valleytown, down toward the south, north of you folks in Hayesville, we've got rotating thunderstorms right here. And it looks like we got a new tornado warning right here for Hayesville, Shooting Creek. This will go down toward the south. It is including Elf, parts of Hayesville and Rosman, all in the path of this right now as we're watching it going through. So this tornado warning does include Clay County until 8:45. So downstream warnings continuing as there's little pockets of rotating thunderstorms in this as we're watching this whole line push on down toward the south. So Hiawassee down 17. This would include you folks right there. So Clay County in the path of that, Macon County in the path. So this is part of that same line that's been pushing south right here. So this new warning for Clay County does go until 8:45. Meanwhile, you got this cell back toward Macon County that's trying to get into parts of Rabun County. So 2 separate warnings right here for Clay, Cherokee counties, and then you got Macon County, and then you got some rain across Pickens County. The good news is this cell over Pickens County has started to weaken quite a bit, so the warning has been dropped for Pickens and Greenville County, but starting to see this line pick up a little steam right here across Taylor's. There's Wade Hampton Boulevard. It's got some strong winds, some heavy rainfall with it as this pushes on down toward the south. Got about a half dozen lightning strikes with that. Then you go back through Boiling Springs and Spartanburg. This is a pretty strong line. This pushing on through Spartanburg, Boiling Springs, Inman, Lyman, pushing down toward the south. Pauline, you're going to be in the path of that, as well as Packlet. So Grace, you've been watching that closely in these areas, and we've got to watch that because this is turning into a little bit of a feisty line.
Yeah, I mean, just a few hours ago, looks like things were calmed down just for a moment. We're only dealing with strong or a few severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, as this line begins to organize just a bit more, we're seeing that risk of some very strong storms. And yes, they all do have that tornado possible tag on there. Doesn't mean everyone's going to see a tornado, but once again, these storms do have the history of producing tornadoes. So let's go ahead and zoom in on a few of these areas. Right now, I am getting some messages from my folks in Mayo. Right now, there's a lot of power outages happening. Power's flickering up near Cannon's Campground. This is one of these storms that really just flared up over the last 30 minutes or so. And it's a severe thunderstorm warning, which means we potentially could be seeing some gustier winds. I'm going to go ahead and turn on velocity just so we can see if there are any higher wind gusts out there. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look into the storm with live Super Doppler 4 radar, just getting a look on what this looks like. And you see the winds that are going away. It doesn't look like there's a rotation signature, but I want to go ahead and click the brighter parts, right? So when you're dealing with this, potentially seeing up to around 20, 30, 40, even 50-mile-per-hour winds out there. Overall, just taking a sample of the storm just to see what's happening in this, because we have been dealing with some very, very strong wind gusts, and once again, even up to golf ball sized hail in the, right along Asheville Highway, up into Spartanburg as you're crossing into 26 near Valley Falls, right along Hilltop as well. When you see that signature of purple or pinks, those brighter colors, you could be dealing with potential hail. And seeing the storm kind of begin to stretch across now parts of Travelers Rest, Greenville, you guys could potentially be hearing some rumbles of thunder in just a moment. Near Taylor's and Greer, you're dealing with some rain right now. Headed a bit closer towards Piedmont Park as well, just passing just east of Travelers Rest. And like Chris mentioned, that one storm that has been warned on up near Pickens, they have dropped that severe thunderstorm warning, but it looks like potentially over to the east once again as it's passing through parts of Salem into Walhalla as well. 6 Mile, you guys could be next, dealing with some very, very loud claps of thunder, I am sure. And then once again, again, three separate tornado warnings for parts of western North Carolina, beginning to stretch into northern Georgia as well, and up near Franklin as we're continuing to track these storms out here. And once again, as it just passes over that state line, just a few areas beginning to flare up. Looks like as of right now, Spartanburg, you are just out of that severe thunderstorm warning. They just expired that, but does not mean it's not rocking and rolling there. I know we're getting a lot of lightning strikes within this, but it looks like the stronger parts of the storms are going to be right over here now to the west, and that's crossing over parts of western North Carolina, now beginning to enter areas up in Georgia, up near Clay and Clayton. And just looking at this once again up near Franklin and Dillard, right along 23, there's a lot of lightning within this once again. And I'm going to go ahead and get a scan of the storm just to see, Chris, and just kind of looking for that rotation and looking for that flare up as well.
Yeah, that's going to be what we'll have to look out for over the next little bit is, does this start to flare up or does it start to gradually weaken? The environment is certainly there for this to sustain its strength as it moves on through. And our primary concern throughout this entire time has been the strong winds. But there are pockets here that are rotating near Highway 23, McClure Mill, through Norton, seeing some strong winds. And there is that rotation indicated by live Super Doppler for the reds going away from our radar, the green going toward the radar. We're watching that closely as we roll on through. As we look up toward Asheville, Marshall, you were under some warnings earlier as we look at this through Spartanburg County. Thankfully, the warning has been dropped for Spartanburg County too, so we're optimistic that this is going to try to behave as it rolls on through. Our primary concern sits right here across Oconee County for you folks on the lake, as this is kind of got a beeline for you, and this is a discrete cell off by itself, so which is why it's a little bit vulnerable to some rotation if it decided to do so. So watching this for Oconee into Clemson, so Salem, Walhalla, Westminster, Clemson, Pendleton, and then down through Poplar Grove, watching that closely, is just about anybody in the path of this would either have some strong winds or the potential for some rotation. Right now, that's not showing up very clearly on live Super Doppler 4, so no immediate concerns of rotation here, but certainly packing a punch with some lightning, some heavy rain, and some gusty winds moving toward Lake Kiowee. Already getting some rain on Kiowee, but also you folks in Clemson and then eventually Lake Hartwell as this whole line starts to push off toward the south-southeast. That said, Pickens, this kind of started to fizzle a little bit over you, but you still got some rain, a couple of claps of thunder over Pumpkintown. Hey, we need the rain. We just don't want the severe weather that comes with it sometimes. Look at the grouping of lightning showing up here just east of Paris Mountain and Greenville. This is escalating here across parts of Taylor's and sitting over the same area near Wade Hampton Boulevard, Milford, Sandy Flat, Wade Hampton through Greer. And this is putting down a lot of heavy rainfall and a lot of lightning in some of these areas as we're watching it very closely. Down 14 heading toward Greer, Five Forks, you got this heading towards you. So this is actually flaring up a little bit. You're probably hearing that thunder from Five Forks and Highway 14, Woodruff Road. Got a lot of heavy rain, and this is kind of escalating in these areas. A couple of different areas like Greer back through Wade Hampton Boulevard. So wouldn't be surprised if this turns stronger or more severe and it stretches back into Spartanburg County. So again, from Cowpens, Grace, you were mentioning some people seeing the lights flicker a little bit. Yeah, lots of lightning, very electrical, and some strong winds coming in some of this. This is heading toward Pacolet, Spartanburg, Pauline. You're going to see some of that near Roebuck as we move through Mayo. You're out of the worst of it right now, pushing through Gaffney. So again, watching that closely as we see a new severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued, I believe, east of here through Kings Mountain, Smyrna, Blacksburg, east parts of Cherokee County. Boy, this has been a rough evening for storms in and around the Charlotte area as this new severe thunderstorm warning goes until 8:45 right there for Cleveland, Gaston, York County. This would be anybody traveling to or from Charlotte. So watching that closely. And yeah, we got another tornado tag possible on this as we're looking at this. Any number of these could produce some rotation. And we've got a low cloud deck right now, which indicates that we got that. We do have a sky cam right now we want to show you from Wofford right now. A great look at what's going on. You see the flashing on the buildings there from Spartanburg. Lots of lightning associated with this. Now the storm is to our back right here as we're looking from Wofford toward downtown Spartanburg, but you can see if we're looking toward downtown, that's where the storm is coming toward, and you bet it's about to get very electrical. We'll check back in on this camera here in just a few minutes as we do have some of our Greenville sky cams showing some of these storms rolling through as well. We got back through Travelers Rest, Taylor's. If you were to look from Greenville east up through Lake Robinson and Greer, this is heading toward Five Forks. Very heavy rainfall, lots of lightning associated with this as it's pushing on down toward the south. But the primary concerns for rotation or tornadic activity lies in the western area right now. Hayesville, Robbinsville pushing toward the south, parts of Clay County. You got a lot of electricity in this and a lot of heavy rainfall. These are rain wrapped if there is a tornado there, and this is the concern near Shooting Creek. Right as it crosses crosses over into Georgia, you're going to have that severe thunderstorm and that tornado concern right there. This warning goes until 8:45. Then you cross over into Macon County near Sky Valley, watching that thing very closely near Dillard, Mountain City, Clayton. And again, we got this rotation trying to flare up in some of these locations as well. So lots of activity across the area. Just because we've got storms in these areas doesn't mean you're specifically going to see a tornado. I know that can cause a lot of anxiety and a lot of angst across the area. We've had some strong storms in the past couple of years. I know that this can trigger storm anxiety in a big way. But what we can tell you is we do have a lot of lightning, a lot of heavy rain. That's the extent of what most of us will see. But there are pockets in here that we need to watch that are flaring up. In particular, this one across Walhalla, Salem. You got some strong activity in this area just west of the lake. And again, this is showing me a signature that would be one that a little suspect. We need to watch it closely. Just west of the lake right there, Long Bottom Ford. There's nothing that jumps out to me on live Super Doppler 4 that shows, hey, it's rotating, but it does have some strong winds with it as it pushes off toward the south. We can get a storm track on this as it pushes toward the south-southeast down Highway 11, Walhalla, Salem, basically eastbound. This is moving south-southeast at about 45 miles per hour. It'll put it over areas of the lake here any minute now. Hilltop Bike Park, Flat Shoals, Picket Post, Walhalla, and then Bouding Land just after 9 o'clock. So the next 30-45 minutes, you're going to be in the path of that as we watch that closely. And then check it back in over Greenville County. This one's not severe, but we know those of you watching right now, you see the word tornado at the top of your screen for the warning in the mountains. You're now hearing some thunder, and it can cause some angst. We got this strong storm. I mean, this is putting down a lot of lightning, and I will say that this is escalating across the I-85 part of Greenville County, Wade Hampton Boulevard. We got our Hilton Greenville Skycam, which gives us a really good look at what's going on around town. Here's downtown Greenville. This is what most of us are seeing right now. We've got muggy, warm conditions across the area. We are very ripe for those thunderstorms that would be coming toward the area. So Greenville, you're going to see some storms. You see the flashes kind of showing up on our camera sometimes. That's the lightning. We have a lot of that right now showing across Greenville and Spartanburg County. Let's get back to live Super Doppler 4 and be able to show you that as we're seeing some of this roll on through. This is a line. Here's the line that is now kind of trying to regroup. It's kind of got its breath again and is now trying to escalate a little bit across the upstate. So far, strong winds and lightning will be the main concern out of this as it's kind of consolidating back into a line. No warnings active right now for Spartanburg or Greenville, but I do want to let you know as it moves toward the south, it'll be in Five Forks, it'll be in Woodruff Road, it'll be in Pauline, Simpsonville, Fountain Inn, Union, Cross Keys to Lauren, all between now and about 9:30, 10 o'clock across the area as this pushes on through many areas of the upstate right here. Back to the west, Pickens County, thankfully that one fizzled out to a big deal. To no big deal, I should say. And then back west of the lakes right here, you got some heavy rain across Lake Kiowee, Lake Jocassee, back through Salem and Walhalla, and then stretching back to our tornado warning, which exists over parts of Macon County. But at this point, it's getting very close to Clayton and Rabun County. I'd say most of Macon County, you're probably clear from the severe right now. That does look like any kind of suspect activity is now solidly in Georgia. Same story back toward the west. We do have this active tornado warning for Clay County, but it looks like the worst of anything is now south of Hayesville and Shooting Creek as this pushes toward the south into North Georgia. So wouldn't surprise me if we do see these warnings get trimmed up right here shortly. Our commitment to WYFF 4 is to always to keep you posted along the way as there's warnings and to keep you up to date as long as there's an active warning across here. We're going to be keeping you posted. Now, same thing goes if there were not a warning and we were concerned about something. We have the tools on live Super Doppler 4 to be able to see these storms instantly and will alert you regardless of anything we're concerned about. So Lake Kiowee, Lake Jocassee, westbound, you got a pretty rough storm near Salem heading toward Walhalla. Then there's this activity over Rabun County. We're watching that. It's moving kind of south-southeast. So there's been some rotation in this. It looks like they just dropped this one here for Macon County, for Rabun County. It is a severe thunderstorm warning, but no more tornado warning here for parts of Macon County. There's some good news there. Clayton, you got some heavy rain and some lightning. Then back toward the west, you folks watching this right now in Clay County, you still do have a tornado warning. Lots of electricity. I mean, we're talking about a lot of lightning here in just the past 30 minutes to 15 minutes, about 500 lightning strikes. So very electrical storms from Valleytown to Hayesville to Hiawassee up through Shooting Creek. There has been some rotation in this, and that's the concern that we have right now is this area does have some rotating thunderstorms as it pushes toward the south, toward Hiawassee, Rabun County. Lots of lightning associated with this as it pushes on down toward these areas. Look at that rotation. kind of right there along the Georgia-North Carolina state line. You're very close to being out of it here in Clay County. Stay with us just for a little bit longer here. Hayesville to Shooting Creek. You need to be still seeking shelter, being in your safe place right there in southern Clay County because this is crossing into Georgia. Very high mountains in this area, so this is a mountainous area that can disrupt that rotation that's trying to form, but it's one of those situations we got to stay dialed in on it and watching it very closely for you. Those of you watching right now, you see the word tornado at the top of your screen. You're watching us in Greenville, Anderson, Greenwood. Hey, we're watching it for you. Right now, there are no concerns for tornadic activity across the upstate, but boy, this line is starting to pack a punch here across Cherokee, Spartanburg, into Greenville County, and boy, it's rocking right now in Greer to Five Forks. We got our Woodruff Road Skycam, gives us a really good look at where this is right now, and it's bearing down. Here's 385 in Woodruff Road. You can see that lightning, and that's what we're going to see. Let's just watch this camera for just a moment. One lightning strike after another. Very electrical storm showing up here across northern Greenville County, and this is starting to show a sign of kind of intensifying, especially along the I-85 corridor and Highway 14 pushing down towards you folks in Five Forks. In fact, let's zoom in right now and get a closer look at some of that on live Super Doppler 4 right along the Spartanburg-Greenville County line, very close to the airport. We're seeing this escalate a little bit on Wade Hampton Boulevard. Wow, did you see that lightning right before we took that? Boy, that is very electrical. One lightning strike after another. What a show there on our Woodruff Road Skycam. Here we go. Dozens of lightning strikes from Taylor's to Greer. Here's South Buncombe Road heading toward Highway 14. This getting us into parts of Greer, down to south toward Highway 14. There's I-85. This gets us toward Woodruff Road. Lots of lightning just north of you, and this is pushing toward the south. We've put this in motion, Grace. We can kind of see it moving toward these areas. And I say this storm right here has definitely intensified, and we'll be watching this closely. So far, there's no immediate concerns for rotation, although this is an escalating storm here across Greenville County. Got a core that's developing with lots of lightning here across Highway 14. It's about to cross over I-85, heading toward you folks in Woodruff Road, Roper Mountain Road, heading toward Woodruff and Spartanburg County. So watching this closely, very, very electrical storms. That pushes all the way east toward Fairmont, Spartanburg, and then Pauline. You're now starting to see some of the early rain with that, but the worst is yet to come with that rain. Again, no severe concerns right now across Greenville or Spartanburg counties, but you do have some strong winds pushing through these areas as it pushes toward the south. So a new track on this through Fairmont, Roebuck, Pacolet, Simpsonville at about 8:53, Fountain End, and West Springs at about 9:17. So, we're watching this. This doesn't have tornadic concerns over it immediately, but it does have some strong winds as it moves on through. Let's get back up toward the mountains right now. Check on that storm across Clay County. I do have some good thoughts that it's probably pushing on toward the south right now. In fact, a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Hiawassee, pushing toward North Georgia. So it looks like they're going to replace this warning that is across Clay County, replace it with a severe thunderstorm warning that's pushing toward Hiawassee. In fact, the worst of the storm is now out of North Carolina, pushing through Highway 17 as it pushes toward the south right here for these areas. Watching that very, very closely, as it has had history of flaring up and being quite strong to severe in some of these areas. So Clay County looks like the worst of it's pushing into North Georgia at this moment. Back through Clayton, Franklin, we got some strong winds, some heavy rain, and a lot of lightning. Coney County, watching this, got a little squiggly storm right here. This is a severe thunderstorm warning that does include Lake Keowee, Lake Hartwell, west and northbound. So we'll watch that closely for you folks as it continues on throughout this area. And again, this storm is producing some strong winds and lots of lightning. Back through Pickens, looks like that storm's actually starting to flare up a little bit as we're seeing that roll on through downtown Pickens, east through Easley, Pumpkintown. Got a lot of heavy rain right now near Cedar Rock. This is pushing through Highway 183 down toward the south. We'll be watching that as it crosses toward I-85 as well. Greenville over towards Spartanburg. That's an area we got to keep an eye on as this line right here is trying to escalate. I do have some concerns that this will turn into a stronger wind maker across Spartanburg and Greenville County. Wouldn't surprise me if we end up getting a severe thunderstorm warning out of this downstream for parts of Spartanburg, Reedville, Lyman, and Taylors. But the good news is this is not warned on. This is just a strong storm, something we're keeping an eye on. I'm not seeing any immediate concerns for rotation in or around live Super Doppler 4 or the GSP radar from the National Weather Service, so that's some good news. We're going to continue to keep you posted on this right now, folks. We got severe thunderstorms rolling through the area right now, town by town. If there is another concern for anything tornadic, our commitment to you is to stay on the air and keep you posted around the clock as we see that. We're going to send it back to programming right now and keep you up to date around the clock.